Welcome to Scaring YouTube channel. In the quaint little town of Maplewood, life moved at a leisurely pace. People knew their neighbors, children played in the streets, and everyone felt safe. However, this peace was shattered when a series of unexplained incidents began to unfold, each more terrifying than the last. It all began when a local high school student, Jake, a quiet and introverted teenager, stumbled upon a forum on the dark web, curious and a bit reckless. He had always been fascinated by technology and hacking. His friends had shared tales of the dark web's mysterious depths, stories of illegal trades, conspiracy theories, and unspeakable horrors. But Jake was skeptical. He thought it was just urban legend. One fateful night, he decided to explore it himself. Armed with a VPN and an eagerness to delve into the unknown, Jake entered the murky waters of the dark web. He found various forums and websites discussing everything from hacking tutorials to illegal drug sales. But one site caught his eye, a thread titled The Eyes of the Abyss. The thread promised access to a hidden live feed of a room where real horrors occurred. Intrigued, Jake clicked the link, and his heart raced as the video began to load. On the screen appeared a dimly lit room, cluttered and disorganized. In the center, a chair stood empty, but Jake's heart sank when he noticed a dark figure lurking in the shadows. The figure was partially obscured, and all Jake could make out was its unsettling stillness. As the video continued, the figure began to move closer to the light, revealing a mask that distorted its face into an expression of perpetual agony. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. He should have exited the site immediately, but the pull of the unknown kept him watching. Suddenly, the figure turned its head, as if sensing Jake's gaze through the screen. The masked figure raised its hand and pointed directly at the camera. Jake froze, a mix of fear and disbelief washing over him. How could it see him? Panic seized him, and he slammed his laptop shut, heart pounding in his chest. For weeks after that night, Jake tried to convince himself it was just a trick of the light, a well-crafted hoax. But then the incidents began. It started with minor disturbances, strange noises at night, shadows darting just out of sight, and an unshakable feeling that he was being watched. His friends dismissed his fears, attributing them to his overactive imagination, but Jake knew something was wrong. One evening, while walking home from school, he noticed a figure standing at the edge of the woods, partially concealed by the trees. The figure seemed familiar, but Jake couldn't place it. He quickened his pace, and as he glanced back, the figure was gone. Dismissing it as another figment of his imagination, he trudged on, but a sense of dread clung to him like a shadow. The next day, Jake received a message on an encrypted app. It was from an unknown user with a chilling message. "I see you." The word sent shivers down his spine, and Jake felt as if the world was closing in around him. He showed the message to his closest friends, but they laughed it off, saying it was probably just a prank. But Jake knew better. As the days passed, he became increasingly paranoid. He stopped going out at night and avoided the woods. His once vibrant social life faded into the background as he succumbed to his fear. The masked figure haunted his thoughts, and he could hardly sleep, waking up in a cold sweat after vivid nightmares. One night, while lying in bed, he heard a soft tapping at his window. Heart racing, he dared to look. To his horror, he saw the masked figure standing just outside, staring directly at him. Jake's instincts kicked in, and he grabbed his phone to call the police. As he dialed, the figure raised its hand and waved, a sinister gesture that sent Jake's heart into his throat. In a blind panic, he ran to the front door, intending to escape into the safety of the streets. But as he reached for the handle, the door swung open, revealing his best friend, Mark, who had come to check on him. "Jake, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost," Mark said, concern etched on his face. Jake turned to look back at the window, but the figure had vanished. He hesitated, unsure if anyone would believe him, but then he felt a hand grip his shoulder. It was Mark, and Jake recoiled in terror, instinctively shoving him away. "Dude, what the hell?" Mark exclaimed, confused and hurt. "I'm sorry. You have to believe me. I saw it. The figure from the video," Jake pleaded, eyes wide with fear. Mark's expression shifted from confusion to concern as he listened to Jake's frantic recount of the events. Sensing the depth of his friend's fear, he agreed to help investigate. Together, they decided to revisit the website Jake had found, hoping to discover more about the masked figure. As they delved deeper, they uncovered a chilling truth. The site was part of a larger network of deep web forums where users shared live feeds of sinister acts. They found evidence of gruesome acts being streamed, each more disturbing than the last. They realized they had stumbled upon something truly horrifying, something that should have remained buried in the darkest corners of the internet. Determined to find out who was behind it, Jake and Mark delved deeper into the rabbit hole. Their investigation led them to a chat room filled with people discussing upcoming events, all shrouded in ominous language and coded messages. It became clear that they were planning something unspeakable, and the masked figure was likely involved. Desperate to escape the nightmare they had uncovered, Jake and Mark tried to distance themselves from the dark web, but it was too late. The web was entangled around them like a spider's trap, and they soon found themselves on the receiving end of ominous messages and threats. One night, as they sat in Jake's room, an alert popped up on Jake's laptop. It was a live feed, one they had seen before. The masked figure stood in the same room, this time holding a knife, ready for an unknown victim. The room echoed with muffled cries, and Jake and Mark's hearts raced in terror as they watched, paralyzed by fear. Suddenly, the video paused, and a message appeared on the screen. "You're watching. Now it's your turn." Jake's blood ran cold. They had become part of the spectacle, pawns in a sick game they never intended to play. Panic set in, and they decided to go to the police. As they made their way to the station, Jake felt a prickling sensation at the back of his neck, as if someone was following them. Mark, noticing Jake's unease, suggested they take a shortcut through the park. Reluctantly, Jake agreed. As they navigated through the dimly lit park, shadows danced around them, and Jake could swear he heard whispers in the wind. Just as they reached the edge of the park, they heard footsteps behind them. They turned to find a figure in the distance, cloaked in darkness, watching them intently. "Run!" Jake shouted, and they sprinted towards the police station, adrenaline surging through their veins. But as they ran, the figure closed in, its form growing clearer. It was a masked figure from the video, moving unnaturally fast, gliding through the shadows. They burst through the doors of the police station, breathless and frantic. "Help! Someone's after us!" they shouted. But the officers looked at them skeptically. They were just two teenagers in a small town, and the police had no reason to take them seriously. As they explained their story, the power suddenly flickered and went out. The room was plunged into darkness, and Jake's heart raced. He could hear the sound of heavy footsteps approaching. The officers scrambled to grab their flashlights, but the shadows swirled around them, suffocating the light. In the chaos, the masked figure appeared, its twisted grin illuminated by the beam of a flashlight. The officers shouted, trying to apprehend it, but it slipped through the darkness like smoke, vanishing just as quickly as it had come. The police had no leads and no evidence to support Jake and Mark's claims. They left the station feeling defeated and terrified. Knowing the danger was far from over, they realized they had to confront the nightmare on their own, determined to stop the figure. They returned to the dark web to find more information. Hours turned into days as they tirelessly searched for clues. They stumbled upon a hidden forum that discussed a notorious group known as the Watchers, said to be responsible for the dark deeds broadcasted on the web. As they navigated the forum, they uncovered a chilling revelation. The masked figure was more than just a participant. It was the leader of the group. The Watchers had eyes everywhere, and anyone who stumbled upon their activities would become their next victim. Feeling a mix of dread and determination, they devised a plan to expose the Watchers. They reached out to other users on the forum, sharing their story and urging them to help. As they gathered a small group of fellow vigilantes, they set out to gather evidence and bring the group down. But as they planned their attack, the masked figure began to haunt them more aggressively. Jake received a series of disturbing messages, each one more threatening than the last. He could feel the figure's eyes on him, watching his every move. The sense of dread was suffocating, and his mental state began to unravel. Finally, they decided. So guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more scaring stories.